Ableism, universal design, ADA guidelines, Switch, and no, I don't mean your Nintendo console, screen readers. There's so many different terms that we need to know when it comes to accessibility. In today's video, I'm going to be going over 35 important terms that you need to know when it comes to accessibility. My name is Angela, and I'm a visually impaired designer. I get told all the time that people don't know how to get started when it comes to accessibility. And so my goal with this video is to help you understand some basic terms that will get you started in understanding a little bit more about accessibility. If you enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe below. Now let's go ahead and jump into the terms. Alright, I think it's fitting that we start with the term accessibility, since that is what this whole video is after all. And we need to have a basic understanding of what that means. So, accessibility is to provide access to a service or product regardless of one's circumstances. This can include their ability, their gender, their race, their age, or many other factors. Next, we have accessibility design. This is when the needs of those with disabilities are considered throughout the design process, and adaptations to the designs are made so that anyone can use the design. Some ways that accessibility design can be implemented can include some features such as closed captioning, audio description, or a wheelchair ramp. It really just depends on the situation. Sometimes it's added on the end to make a design work, but sometimes it's made as part of the design. It just really depends. Next, we have universal design, which is also a design method, and this was created a while ago and is usually talked about when talking about architecture or the environment. Ron Mace, a leader in universal design, defines universal design as design that is usable by all people to the greatest extent possible, without the need for adaptation or specialized design. Universal design focuses on the final product more than the process. A good example of universal design would be motion sensor lights. So you don't have to be able to speak to anything, you don't have to turn on the switch, you don't have to do anything. When someone enters a room, the light turns on, and regardless of who you are, this design works. The third design method we'll cover is inclusive design. Inclusive design, unlike universal design, focuses on the whole entire design process. It is taking a group of people who are being excluded from a design or service and evaluating their situation, adapting a design so that it works for that group of people, and then in turn the theory is it will work for a wider range of people, and it's not expected to work for all people, but it will improve the design for more people. This is a methodology that was worked on with Kat Holmes and her team at Microsoft. They define inclusive design as a methodology born out of digital environments that enables and draws on the full range of human diversity. Most importantly, this means including and learning from people with a range of perspectives. Now, I have videos on all three types of these methods if you want to hear more in detail. I'll make sure to link them for you below. Alright, our next term is Audism. This is when people discriminate against people who have a hearing impairment, whether it's they're hard of hearing or they're deaf. This also includes discrimination against people who have to use devices to help them with their hearing. Our next term is Vidism. This is the same thing, but it's discrimination against people who have visual impairments or are blind. And they don't like to accommodate people with visual impairments with aids that will help them be able to better interact with their service or product. Then we have the term ableism, which is a person who in general discriminates against anyone who has a disability. Doesn't matter what type of disability, they just discriminate against people with disabilities and aren't willing to do what they need to help people with disabilities, and they favor people who don't have disabilities. I'll be doing a video about these three terms in the future, so keep an eye out for that video. The next term we'll cover is internationalism. Wow, that was a mouthful. This is the process of increasing accessibility of a product or service for those from a different country than the original country is created in. This can be making the product or service multilingual or taking into account cultural differences. The next term is Americans with Disability Act, or ADA. A lot of people refer to this as ADA guidelines or rules that they need to follow. This is a law or an act that was put in place in 1990. This prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities in several areas. This can include employment, transportation, public accommodations, communications, and access to state and local government programs and services. It's really essential and important to take the time to research what the ADA guidelines are so that you can make sure you're implementing them in your designs and services that you're providing. The next term is World Wide Web Consortium. I can't say that word. Also known as W3C. This is the main international standards organization for the World Wide Web. They're responsible to make sure that things are accessible on the interwebs. The next term is Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG, and these were created by the W3C, which I just mentioned. These are a set of guidelines or standards to ensure that the accessibility of web applications, including contrast, readability, and usability, are good and work well for everyone. And within these guidelines, our next term is Level A, Level AA, and Level AAA. These are specific measurements established that let organizations know if their web applications meet the accessibility requirements. Level A is the minimum requirement that needs to be met, all the way to level AAA, which is optimal and is best for the users. Alright, the next two terms are related. So there's Braille, which is a form of a written language for visually impaired people in which characters are represented by patterns or raised dots that are felt with the fingertips. And the second term is ASL, or American Sign Language, which is a language that does not require speaking, but that is a series of hand movements and signs to communicate with others, which is typically used by the hard of hearing or the deaf, but can be used by multiple other groups of people. Alright, so now we're going to move into a group of things that are aids or features, helps for people with disability. Closed captioning is a text version of what is being said in audio. This can help a person when they can't listen to audio, and there's even situations when it's helpful beyond those who are hard of hearing. The next term is audio description. This is a separate set of audio track that narrates or describes the visual content of a clip or a show or a movie, so that if you can't see what's happening, it will describe to you in words what's happening on the screen so that you are informed of what's happening. Assistive technology is a device or software equipment that helps people with disabilities work around their challenges. This is a pretty broad term, but has a lot of umbrella terms underneath it. An adaptive fitting is customized attachments for devices designed to help people with mobility-related disorders, and it can help them be able to participate in everyday routines or in social gatherings. Large print format is just a type of formatting of a book or other kind of text document in which the typeface is considerably larger than usual to accommodate people with low vision. A Braille Terminal, or some people call a refreshable Braille display, is used by people who have low vision, and it is an electrical device that can convert written text on a screen to Braille when connected to a computer. So this is one way for people with low vision to interact with things that are on the screen without having to use VoiceOver. It's an alternate. The next term we're going to go over is alt text, also known as alt tags, alternative descriptions, has lots of different names that it goes by. Alt text is a text description that is paired with an image, which provides an alternative way for a person to understand what's being shown in an image, and helps them so that they can understand what they're seeing on a specific website, a app, or some type of social media platform. Within the next couple weeks, I'll be doing a whole video on alt text and why I think it's important that we all include alt text in our applications. The next term is tagging. Tagging is when you put content into the proper container of the HTML or other coding for a website so that someone who uses assistive technology can understand it properly. The next term is a screen reader, which is a type of assistive technology. A screen reader is an accessibility feature that reads aloud what is written on the screen to provide context so individuals can access a computer or operating system without needing to be able to see what's on the screen. The next term is VoiceOver. VoiceOver is a specific type of screen reader that is built into Apple products, and it can describe aloud what appears on the computer screen. It speaks the text that is in documents and anywhere else on your computer. That brings us to speech to text. This is an accessibility feature that processes human voice into written text, allowing a user to speak in place of typing or inputting text. This support is ideal for individuals with fine motor challenges restricting their functional use of a keyboard. So basically, it allows them to speak instead of having to type things out. And the next term is text-to-speech. And this is an accessibility feature that reads text aloud to the user. This can be helpful to individuals who have low vision or people who have a lower reading level or some type of cognitive disability. The next term is Teletypewriter, or TTY. This is a device that allows users to send typed messages to communicate with others. The next term is a switch. A switch is an assistive technology device designed to accommodate individuals with significant fine motor or cognitive challenges by enabling the user to control a computer without a keyboard or a mouse. The next term is a voice control. This is some type of device that allows you to control it with just your voice. So a good example of this would be an Alexa or a Google Home. All right, the next term is visual focus. Visual focus helps users who only use a keyboard to navigate on a computer. It provides a clear indicator of what objects or links can currently be selected so they can be successfully navigated on a screen. The next term is Accelerator Keys, or keyboard shortcuts. This is when you can tap one or more buttons on a keyboard that will perform an action for you without having to use your mouse. For example, when you tap Command or Control P, it will typically bring up a printing dialog for you. All right, the last term is a transcript. This is a written or printed version of a material originally presented in a video or audio format. Well, that's everything, so I hope that you found this video helpful and that you were able to learn something new you didn't know quite as much about or you hadn't heard about. I post a lot of videos about accessibility and design. Feel free to subscribe to my channel below, and then you'll be informed every time I post. Until next time, have a great week. Bye!